Alright, so in this video we're doing a simple fuel pressure check on a 1991 Suzuki Sidekick. Now this is going to be a little bit ad hoc. We're doing it right off the main pressure line, so we're not going to get a running pressure, but I want to get a key-on pressure and make sure that there is no drop in pressure after the pump stops working. And if you're using, or if you have a 90 or 89 model, it only puts pressure from the pump while the engine is running or cranking. But with the 91 and later models, it's just you turn the key on, electronic fuel pump goes, puts pressure in it. You have to turn the key on 3 or 4 times just to get the pressure built up, and once that happens, turn it off, let it sit, and it should maintain its pressure for 1 minute. Now, as you can see the little notebook in the bottom left there, I just wrote down the static pressure, which it should have, just while it's running but not cranking, or while the pump's running but the engine's not cranking. It should be around 36 to 43 psi. And the static pressure, it should maintain the pressure over 25 psi with very little drop for approximately 1 minute. By looking at this pressure gauge, I realized that the pressure on it doesn't actually go up far enough for what I need. It only goes up to 10 psi on the scale, and as you can see the needle is way past that. But just from general incrementations, that doesn't look anywhere near 36 to 40 psi. So I've got a different pressure gauge here, and as you can see, it is only running up to 15 psi, and again dropping over time. Now, I'm doing this test, especially if you're doing it a little bit ad hoc like me. You got to check the connections to make sure there's not actually any pressure loss where the connections are to your fuel gauge. That just confirms what I've been thinking for quite a while, is that pump just isn't putting out enough pressure. Now that's going to be due to many different problems, many different issues. You can have the fuel filter clogged, which will give you a very low pressure and will also kill your pump. Now, I already replaced the fuel filter on this. It's just forward of the tank, mounted up underneath the vehicle, and it was pretty nasty by the time I got it replaced, so that's probably why the pump isn't doing too well now. Now, if these are replaced every few years, the pump should last for a long time. Now, when putting the fuel line back in, you always got to be careful, since you have to move the throttle control out of the way, and that little cable likes to slip out of there. And you can't see it too well in the video, but there's just a little hole in a slot that the cable fits through, and just make sure it lines right back up on the track. Now, also on this, just to show you, I'm going to do a pressure test of the fuel pressure regulator. It's right on the front there. And there should be a little bit of pressure coming out of here and a little bit of fuel. As you can see, there's no fuel dripping out of there either. There should be a little bit, so that means that the fuel pressure is way too low, and the engine's basically just taking what it can get. These things are very difficult to kill. As you can see, it's a really awesome engine, because even at almost half to a third of the proper fuel pressure that it's supposed to be getting, it still runs very smoothly, and has been my daily driver for almost a year now with this issue. And when reattaching the lines, just make sure that both the throttle and the other lines there just have a little bit of play in them. They're not completely taut, because the electronic positioner, or the vacuum positioner there, will keep the throttle at its proper space. You don't want the throttle line interrupting that. As you can see, after it's been running a bit, it runs down. It's a little bit rough still. So Hopefully once I get in there and fix the fuel pump, and there's probably going to be some leaking internally in the tank, that would be the reason that there's that drop in pressure afterwards, we'll get it running even better. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.